to another episode of How Did You Get There? I'm the only host today, Jeff. And this show is a place where we talk about thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs so we can be critical of those things and not necessarily the people that hold them. These opinions that will be expressed are mine. They might even not be mine, but they're definitely not JessFM, or anybody else's opinions. So if you have problems, let me know. Let me know. I want to hear feedback, positive, negative, or otherwise. Today, I am joined by StrudleBrand, which is 9, and Sebastian. They seem to have a passion for something I absolutely have a passion for, and that is Lethbridge, and that is art. And so we're going to open it up just quick and easy. Tell us, what is a StrudleBrand, and what do you do in the big picture?
It's a fair question. We get that a lot, actually. We kind of consider ourselves an interactive art experiment. And that kind of covers all our bases because we don't really fit into one niche. Like, we do video, we do photo, we do events, we do marketing, we do all of this, but basically our core mission, if you would, is to just uplift Lethbridge. We are just very passionate about Lethbridge, and anyone that we see doing something, regardless of what it is, if they're doing it with their whole heart for like a good intention, we're like, okay, we want to shine the spotlight on you. We want to give use our platform to kind of give that a little bit.
Cool. That's already more than I expected, right? That you're just not just you; it's everybody else around you, right? Yeah. That you're trying to do. Yeah. So I encountered you on the Twitter. That's where I first discovered you. We'll thank Kelty for making this happen. Yeah, and so then I was introduced and came down and saw your film, right? So that, what was is that part of the inspiration, or is that just one of the many facets of what goes on at the StrudleBrand?
Well, that was actually our first big film that we did, our longest film, and that started as kind of a project we had where we were going to just record all the public art in Lethbridge. And at first we thought, that's going to be easy. There can't be a lot of art in Lethbridge. Lethbridge pretty small. I'm sure there's a list somewhere of every single piece of art in Lethbridge that you can just go on a website and find and then scavenger hunt it down, right? Mm-hmm. So I set Sebastian up with that task, and I'm like, just run around with your drone, get all this really good footage, and yeah, as it turns out, there's not a list.
Yeah. There's no list.
There's no list. And
not one that has like everything on it. It's like pieced out. So.
And there's a lot of art in Lethbridge.
Would that be so? Like you'd say, go to City Hall, and you're like, hey, clearly someone needs a permit to put up their piece of art. Do you have that list of permits? But then that wouldn't apply to, say, the university grounds or the college area, and that's where there's not a complete list.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's like Public Art Lethbridge, which has some of them, but again, if you're only doing that list and then you're driving downtown to try to go to one of those locations and you see like, hey, there's a piece, there's a piece, there's a piece, and then it gets even more convoluted because there's so many different ways to see art. Right? Where do you draw the line? What do you say? This is art, this isn't. Like our infrastructure can be art, our train bridge, our buildings, even like our natural landscape.
Recognized artists with like graffiti.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, kind of like that street public art.
Street
people just being like, what's here? Like we still see that as art, but that's not going to be found on a website anywhere. At least not in a capacity.
Well, now it kind of is, right? We could direct them towards you guys. They could watch your movie, which apparently is playing again soon. I hear.
Yeah, we have a couple of screenings in the works where that's going to be where we're going with that. But yeah, like when we were first putting that together, we got a lot of really good footage that was very cinematic and kind of inspiring in the sense that you don't really realize how much art is around until you see here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, right?
Yeah.
But we also felt like it was kind of missing something, like it needed that human element, that kind of connection to it, right? So then we kind of went literally 10 days before we were supposed to screen this for the first time. I was like, hey, why don't we get some artists involved and add some new elements to it, which was probably not the right way to go about doing it.
I was very resilient to this. I needed to know like the whole idea behind this, and I was struggling with this. I think it's because I was so focused that we were 10 days out from our first screening, so we were adding something to it. But Nine's idea was like, it was brilliant.
That's what capped it out for you guys? Was that little voice intro where, as you explained to me, I just thought I'd send him. but that's actually the intro voice on the whole thing. Hey,
Yeah.
go here, get that shot. Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or
For
I'm
sure.
still here working on this because there's
Yeah.
so much art, and
Yeah.
and you want to do it justice, right? You don't want to walk past something, and like even trying to figure out how to make that art interesting to view to people to see on a screen. I mean, obviously, if you're seeing it in person, you're going to take the time to see it the way you want to see it. So, having the drone and using like a dynamic look to get aerial views and sweeping views and make that, exciting
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. Well, and to get people as excited as you are
Yeah.
about it, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So when you say the art thing and what could it be, I have a very big operation that I use, and art will attempt to convey an emotion,
Yeah.
and good art conveys the emotion the artist intended, right?
Yeah.
So like a thing like an architect piece, somebody wants you to look at it and go, wow, that's impressive, or wow, I feel safe there, or whatever feeling.
Yeah.
And if that's what they're going for and that's what you get, good art.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to take away from art that isn't good art. It's just, it's there and it still gets people thinking, but I'm scared that that artist's message isn't getting across, right? So like an example for me is at the fire hall, the emergency center, the
Yeah.
smoke.
Yeah.
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 I was gonna
My instinct going by there is it's the flying spaghetti monster, right? Because I haven't had that angle of approach that you gave me,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
That shows me there's where if you stand here,
Yeah.
that's what the artist was thinking. Oh,
And
right.
lots of people have different interpretations of art too, right? Like we've heard that piece in particular was one that people were bringing up repeatedly to us
Right.
when we were saying like, hey, what's your favorite piece of public art in Lethbridge? People would say, the smoke outside the fire hall, or the wind outside the fire
that's right.
hall,
Yeah.
or the flying spaghetti monster outside I don't know why they put it in front of a fire hall, but
Yeah.
maybe that's someone's religion, right?
Exactly right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not even the first to give you the flying spaghetti monster
No.
analogy. Hey, that's
Yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. At least I wasn't alone.
So
So at least one
actually-
other person out there, yeah.
Yeah.
That one was pretty interesting because of the voice that we had for that one had said, I really like it when it's lit up at night as well, because apparently there's lights that project upwards, and so we went back and we tried to get that, but they're not turned on at this moment, so.
Yeah. We were like, I swear we would remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
driving down there. 'cause-
I think it would be because bottom lit things
Yeah.
just catch the eyes differently.
For sure.
Quickly, because we're talking, everyone that plays along, it's drink time. I'm going off topic. So, with the lighting thing and perceptions of art, I've noticed around there's houses now that have taken up like track lighting, like we would have at the city hall, where like they can change color
Yeah.
schemes
Yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah.
And I wondered that, like, would that be a thing? Like, as you're trolling neighborhoods and looking for beautiful trees or whatever the day is, and you see these people in their different lights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is that a thing you considered in your backgrounds, or you guys are like, I hate that orange, it's wrecking my shot. Let's take a different tree, or are those the kinds of things you worry about, or are you just like, no, that's just part of what it is, and let's incorporate it somehow?
Yeah, I think for the latter part for sure. I mean, we definitely like organic filming, so if it's there, it's just there. However, I mean, as a photographer or a videographer, I mean, sometimes there is like the orange pylon, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
can I move that or can I stand in front of that? But I
Or
mean,
even just the difference between like a white light and like an amber lighting. It's
Yeah.
like the bane of I think every photographer's existence when you have those two conflicting colors
Yeah.
coming in and you're like, nothing's looking right all of a sudden. But
Yeah.
like I said, that's not my
Well, yeah,
part,
if you only
that's
have
all
two
him.
color contrasts, it
Yeah.
pulls a third color out of your frame,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to edit.
From what
and-
I remember. That's awesome. So you have other project, I hear, kind of in the works. Actually, it's been in the works longer. Now that I've poked into you guys
Yeah,
even
yeah.
more about you're highlighting certain businesses in our community.
Yeah.
So how would a business get involved with that project? And more importantly, what is your goal with that project?
Well, it's actually funny because that's kind of a little bit of the origin story of where StrudleBrand came from. We had the concept of we wanted to do little small business features, and we just thought it would be cool to kind of just spotlight little places around Lethbridge, places we've like gone and loved, and just wanted to be like, hey, does everyone know this place exists? Because a lot of the time you can get kind of insular in what you're doing, and you're like, I have this coffee shop, I have this shop I go to, and you might walk by all these other shops on the way there or drive by or whatever and not really realize that those are places that you might like too. You know, it just kind of like you get that visual blindness a lot of the time, right? And so we wanted to do these little features, and we started just doing them on our Instagram, just these little tiny little reel videos, little short things, and we got a lot of momentum with those of people saying like, we're seeing things in a different way now, we are really like excited about this, like keep doing this, and we're like, wow, you know, these are literally just kind of thrown together as our hobby side thing that we're doing, right? And so we had the idea from there to kind of expand these a little bit and really hear like the stories behind the storefronts, like what motivated someone to do, kind of like I guess what you're doing here with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like get into the nitty gritty of like what was that spark of inspiration that got you to do this, because you know, like a lot of the stories are really like impactful, and they're things where people have just kind of like built the whole thing up from the ground, right?
Like stove, I noticed Stovepipe right away as one of the stores just down from where I work.
Yeah.
I also found it funny that your little cupcake is on 13th.
Yeah.
I was like, these people are practically my neighbors. If that's where they're based out of, I'm 2 blocks away.
We're just kind of around, and I don't know who did that.
You just randomly stamped a cupcake on the Salvation Army. There it is.
Well, you know, these stickers do get around.
We do give the stickers, so I don't know who puts them where.
Yeah, I think the funniest one we've seen is we've seen one on a stop sign, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be taking this personally. Is this stop StrudleBrand? Because we
stop
can't be
for
stopped.
StrudleBrand.
Yeah.
Stop for StrudleBrand. Yeah.
That one's like near the Grandview Apartments or something, near the mall.
Yeah, that was like a funny one to
A
see.
very
I was like,
random location.
wait a minute, who did that? Yeah.
You could almost make that your next art competition type style thing. Just give
Where
away
have
a
you seen
bunch
this?
of
Yeah.
stickers at your filming, and then take a selfie of you and the sticker somewhere, right? Improve the art around Lethbridge.
Well, we don't officially sanction that.
No,
just
no,
saying.
goodness, no. No. We don't encourage vandalism. We encourage public art displays. That's
Public
right.
art, yeah.
At one point in my personal, long time ago life, I opened up a club in a space that's, I think, Pop South or something like that now. But it was called Graffiti Club.
Cool.
But I was being very traditional with that name, meaning the voice of the people.
Yeah.
And it was a club for visual, performing, and culinary arts.
Oh, sweet.
Right? So I had like a real stage and a curated gallery and things like that. So I mean, I get where art's a passion for people.
Yeah.
Weirdly though, people have this misconception, art is not a winning proposition in terms of value to the economy or you know, the grandparently, so how you paying your bills with this, right?
Yeah.
But that's not actually the question. The question is, how busy are you with this?
Well, very busy.
Yeah.
But part of that too is a lot of what we do is we work with a lot of charities, a lot of like not-for-profits. We kind of give away a lot of what we do because it's like our heart passion project. So a lot of places we think, you know, can't really afford to have like that next level marketing, that next level like video content being made, or they're just doing it themselves. And we're like, you know, we can help. So we have kind of like our paid projects that fund a lot of our charity and our not-for-profit and kind of like our community like collaborative partnerships where we're like, okay, you're a startup, but we want to spotlight you, and so we can kind of like bend over backwards to make that work.
And then down the road that pays off just with like A, with friendships, B, with just knowing the community better, and finally that startup's going to be something one day, and they're going to be like, those guys helped me, my turn.
Yeah.
And it is a passion too, right? Like it's like our hobby and our work. I mean, we do some work that feels like work, but that's our paid work.
Yeah,
you know? Whereas the stuff that we did, for instance, the resurface video that we did, that whole film, like there was no budget for that. It was just us, our time, and even our artists that had features in there, they were all just volunteering their time and their talents, which was really impactful for us too, because that whole project was just for the love of Lethbridge.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like all of that was just people being like, yeah, I love my city, I want to spotlight it, and like I'll take a risk with you guys, and it turned out amazing, and we're trying to get that shown more places when we have more time to kind of pitch that and be like, show our film.
Yeah.
But if you like what we see, or what you see and what we do, we're looking for sponsorships.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, hey, there you go. There you go. And maybe that even dovetails back to the spotlighting other businesses. They can return that favor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, would so not ownership where I am, otherwise I'd already be talking
Be a
about
sponsor,
such
yeah.
things.
I
Yeah,
hear
and a
that.
lot of what I do, like this moment right now, or all of the theater groups volunteer, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the same reason, right?
Yeah.
I think I've got some talent in the acting, so why not
Yeah.
entertain others? Why not give
Yeah.
back to the community?
Yeah.
And it costs me just time. It just
Yeah.
costs me time. I don't
And it's
care.
like, if you're not gonna do it, who will, right?
Yep.
That's
There it
like
is.
what
Well,
came down to us. Like, when we were doing this film, you know, it's like, there's not a record of all the art in Lethbridge, and that just seemed ridiculous,
Oh yeah.
you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we have a ton, and how is there not someone bigger than us that has gone and done this? Or why it have to be us, literally like a startup business that just like going around doing this stuff and being like, here, we're gonna do free community screenings of these, because that's the other aspect of it. We want to be able to host film screenings for free for the public and just say, hey, we're doing a thing, do you wanna show up and see it?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
You know, like, we don't wanna be like, here's a ticket price associated with that, cause it just feels a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Living in a capitalistic society, right? Like, it
Yeah.
does not feel natural to me.
Yeah, consumerism is not always advantageous, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it's hard to value our passions, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're sitting there, like, I poured my life into this, and it's easily worth $1 million to me. But I think it's so valuable that it should just be gifted,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard too, because there'll be something we wanna do, but if we say, this project's gonna cost us, in terms of hours, this amount of money, it might be like, okay, well, I can't afford that, so it doesn't happen. Whereas for us, we'll be like, well, we wanna just do it anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll find a way to make that work.
Yeah, yeah. As long as bills are paid, you're
Yeah.
happy to give the rest away. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. That's amazing.
Things you probably shouldn't say live, right?
No, absolutely live. That's absolutely. I mean, our spread is slow, so no one's gonna like be dialing you up right away. So free stuff.
So I
eh?
saw you, yeah.
I mean, I already hit you guys with looking for a producer, right? And because technology people,
Yeah.
theater people.
There's an overlap there,
A
though,
little
right?
bit.
Yeah.
Well, this obviously, right?
Yeah.
Noticing the shirt, the hat. Is this brand available stuff? Like we could, like a Teespring or your own sites, or
We are.
like let's plug this. We're here.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's get this going.
I love that. Sadly, we have one-off merch right now. We're just kind of like working on, testing some. I did the thing where I'm kind of like a big picture thinker. So when we started saying, hey, we're gonna make StrudleBrand a thing, I was like, okay, let's, $1,000 in merch right now, right? And he's like, we don't even have really a business. Why are we spending $1,000 on merch, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how this, because he's the logical one, right? Like,
We have good balance.
yeah, because I is definitely not operating from a place of logic a lot of the time. It's just like straight creativity, right? So I'm like, I just have this vision. I want to have brand merch. I want to wear StrudleBrand all the time. And we, so I asked him, I'm like, how much can we spend on merch? And I was like, just, I'll let you tell me what the limit is, and I'll just go with it. And he's like,
What did I say?
$1,000?
Yeah, $1,000. I'm like, $1,000, right?
That's
And
not
I'm like,
bad.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
sweet, because
Yeah,
I
of
thought
course,
I was
and
going
I
to be
thought
like
that was
$500,
low.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, does that include business cards?
I mean, business cards. That's like $50. What
Yeah.
are you doing with the rest? Right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
But
twice the amount that I thought you were gonna say.
it's actually really like interesting from a marketing perspective, because like our first hat, which like Sebastian is the hats guy. I'm not technically wearing hats as often, but I wear a lot of hats, but not like literally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But we have the hat that says, okay, but what is StrudleBrand? Because that's like one of the common questions we get. Like, what is StrudleBrand? What are you guys? Are you guys a bakery? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know,
It
For sure.
also encourages the question too, and I get that all the time. Like, what is StrudleBrand? Like, why? Well, your hat is asking me, what is StrudleBrand?
Yeah. Why is your hat asking me when
Yeah.
you're the one with the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets to be cheeky and be like, it's our marketing company, and they're like, you got us.
Yeah. Do you? I'm aware that there are other marketing companies in town. Do you have a specialty to your marketing? Like, are you really focused on social media marketing, or you're like fully engaged with the television studios and the radio play and all of that kind of level of marketing? I realize there's more to it than just the advertising portion, but that's just where I was going to start in terms of the marketing.
Yeah, I'd say our niche is more kind of like the marketing that makes you like think and question and want to explore more, and I've always have kind of a love-hate relationship with paid ads, because they do work and you can get reach, but there's always, and I don't know if this is just my bias, but I feel like other people have it as well, when you see that little sponsored tag or you see, you know, that you kind of shut it off in your mind and kind of scroll past or don't pay attention, or, you know, commercials come on and you leave the room to go, you know, get a drink or whatever,
That's
right?
when people go pee, is when the commercial's on.
You know, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really like, you know, or you see, oh, so this is sponsored by whoever, and you're kind of like, okay, well, they're just trying to get that good clout,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Even
Whereas-
in the Twitter feed, when it comes up promoted in the corner,
Exactly.
I'm quick to
Yeah.
say no thank you
Yeah.
ever again.
Yeah, and I'm gonna block you just because I have this weird thing, you know, right? Like
Yeah.
you just don't want to be fed information in that capacity. Whereas we find if you kind of go around, like we always say, you know,
Organic growth.
yeah, like if you're gonna have someone coming to your front door and knocking on the door and hard selling you something, right? And you're gonna be like, no, I'm not interested. Even if you might be interested, you're just gonna have your hackles up and you're gonna be like, no. But if you come down in the morning and there's like the smell of coffee on and there's someone already at your front table sitting there with like a cup of coffee and is like, hey, check out this coffee, you're gonna be like, huh, okay, how did you get in here?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
have that kind of,
There's a different investigation
it's
to the
gonna
process.
engage you a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? So we find that's kind of like our niche is kind of thinking outside the box, as cliched as that is, but coming at it from like a unexpected angle.
When I took a youth leadership course, and their phrase for that level of thinking is lateral problem solving skills, rather than trying to catch yourself on thinking outside the box all the time.
Yeah.
Feel free to throw out the lateral problem solving. We're
Love
big
it.
on lateral problem solving.
Yes.
Yeah. So then when people came back with think outside the box, it's actually because of those 9-dot puzzle, right? Where you actually have to leave the box to
Oh, okay.
solve the puzzle, right? That's where that came from. Just because I do those things.
Good to know.
Yeah. So you put it. It's on the 19th, and you call it "Let's Talk Lethbridge." Now,
Talking left.
Yeah.
Talking
Talk
Lethbridge.
Yeah.
Talking Lethbridge. That's mostly the film being presented again,
Yeah.
but
It's gonna be a new film. It's gonna be like featuring small businesses and like people all around like downtown Lethbridge. So this one in particular is, we actually got a little bit of a grant from it.
nice.
So it's like exciting. Yeah, we got like the City of Lethbridge
The
and
nightmare
downtown
of paperwork.
PRZ.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Opportunity Lethbridge, heart of our city. They all kind of like went in and gave us a little bit of funding for this, which is super exciting because when we like asked for that grant, it was the first grant we applied for as StrudleBrand, and we're a very new company, so we kind of thought, you know, just throw it out there and see what happens. And I got that in literally like 20 minutes before the deadline. it was one of those things, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they kept pushing it off of the announcement of who's going to get it, and we were like, you know, whatever, it's we'll see, you know. And we ended up getting it, and we were the youngest company of everyone to get it, so it was really exciting for us. But it's going to be basically like a red carpet Hollywood style film screening
Nice.
in Festival Square.
Nice.
And it's August 19th. It's gonna be like super exciting. There's like a lot of other things we have planned for that, but we're gonna, you know, keep a little bit of that. Yeah.
teasers.
Of course, yeah.
That's not awesome. We need to, come on. I mean, great day to sell merch, right?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah.
Because that's like film 2 then already, you guys. Like
Oh, yeah.
in like short order.
Oh yeah.
And from, you know, theater guy's standpoint of it, I get what goes into production
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
even the simplest of things,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A 10-minute thing is, you know, a 10-day project.
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
right?
Yeah. And a lot of ours are down to the wire. Like, you know, honestly, that the last time that you know, the resurfaced when you were there and you saw it, you were actually watching it at the same time that we were watching it for
Oh,
the first
yeah.
time.
We had
'Cause we had-
exporting issues.
Yeah, we had some exporting issues, so we were down to the wire, and we were like, you know, we had wanted to do a couple tweaks to it from the first screening to the second to add a little bit more to it, and
Mhm.
yeah, you know, we had literally 20 minutes before we were supposed to be like there, you know, trying to make sure everything works, and we just got it exported, and we're like, okay, I guess we're watching it
Yeah.
live.
Nice.
See how it turned out.
Yeah.
Well, that's more like live theater than you could have imagined,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, so when
there
it
could have
all
been
went-
screw-ups, and we just got to deal with it.
And it didn't help that at the end it said, you know, some of these we were missing footage, and we just replaced it with like a black screen, and like things you don't want to hear before you
Yeah.
show a film to who knows how many people are going to show up to this.
Yeah,
like, there was
yeah.
so many different levels to it, but sometimes I feel like, I mean, not to get too metaphysical on you, because I know you're not like that
There
type.
it is. That's all right. That's all
But
right.
sometimes it feels like almost like the universe wants StrudleBrand to be doing these things, because sometimes there'll be things where we're just up against all these hurdles, and it's like there's no way we are going to be able to pull this off, but there's just all these weird connections that follow down, and it just clicks and it works. And it turns out always better than we could have even imagined, and I have a pretty creative, inventive imagination, so it's saying a lot.
Yeah. Especially if you're already starting out optimistic and it turns out better.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So you found these artists as well in part of
Yeah.
making this project.
Yeah.
Did you go hunting, or were they just like out in the wild and you're like, hey, that's an artist, right? Like, yeah.
Well, a couple of them we had actually commissioned art from before, so I kind of had a little bit of you know who we are. And another one was like a friend that we had met at a previous event. So I had a little pre-existing network before I was hard pitching them, hey, do you want to do art? Sorry, we have no budget for it, but and we have a super tight deadline. You literally have 4 or 5 days to do this.
Yep.
But do you want to be part of our video? All we can do is pay you an exposure.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But that's really what it was, and it was just like a risk, you know. Like I had the idea for that part of the film, and it just felt like we had to do it. And I kept on explaining it to Sebastian. He's like, you know, what if they can't paint on photo paper?
Yeah.
What if it's not going to work? What if, you know, this is a hard timeline to give people, right? And I'm like,
What if they don't like the photos that I give them?
Yeah.
You know, like that's the restricting the artist. You know, it's like if I take a photo of the side of the building and say, you know, paint on this photo paper what you envision on that side of the building, the concept is there, but what if the photo just isn't, you know, good enough for that artist? Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's the artist in me that's saying like, oh, I'm going to be taking very boring pictures and then giving them to somebody
Yeah.
to make better.
There was a lot of limiting factors with it, and as, you know, a creative ourselves, we had that feeling of, you know, it's hard to ask someone to do something that's not going to be possibly ideal conditions, but I felt like we have to just try this.
Yeah.
Like, we have to just see, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I can't live knowing that, like, I had this idea and we didn't do
Yeah,
it.
and that's what I love about you, because I'm glad that you were persistent.
Yeah, and so I was like, and I told him a couple times, I'm like, I don't see why you're being a hater on this, because, like,
I can maybe help you with like a little bit of, I'm going to paraphrase because I always wreck the quote, but Herbie Hancock basically, if you can do whatever you want, you don't actually have to be that creative. As soon as you've been put into this box to get your message across, you have to be that much more creative, right?
Yeah.
So if you're putting the limits on and you think that's stifling the creativity,
Yeah.
I would suggest it's actually increasing
Yeah,
it,
I like
right?
that. That's cool.
and it did, because our artists,
It
like,
did,
came
yeah, they
through.
loved it.
The-
Yeah,
well, and
I
it's
was
a
looking at it the
challenge.
wrong way. I really was. You
No,
know, but
not
it
at all.
was-
Not at all. That's like I don't know if that has like it's art. Is it
Yeah.
wrong, right? So
Yeah.
no, I don't
Yeah.
think you are. You're just concerned for
I
your
was
artists,
concerned,
right?
yeah.
Like,
It was like
and
time
that,
crunch.
it was a big stress, and, you know, we said, like, no pressure if you take on this project
Yeah.
and say, like, I can't do it, because, you know, as an arts person, sometimes things just don't work out right. You get in your own head, right?
writer's block is a
Yeah.
common
Exactly.
thing, right?
You
Yeah.
know, like, this is gonna be in a film, I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And they all knocked it out of the park.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I had, like,
Yeah.
maybe a 2-minute window where I was like, maybe I should touch base with the artist and
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, you guys still on board?
You're like,
Yeah.
are
You don't hate us
yet?
No pressure, but yeah,
Yes.
but you know, before I even had that really, like, you know, going through to do that, I had my first message back. It was like, hey, you know, I got the piece done. Let me know when you can pick it up. And I'm like, okay. And then when I saw it, it was like, I literally started like crying, like, because I'm just
Yeah.
that type of person. But it was like, I see it. It's actually happening. Like, this whole dream vision, I'm seeing it come out.
Yeah.
It's like proof of concept, and it
Oh.
was so exciting. And then
Should explain when we were trying to finish it up.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that was all, and I always had the kind of the producer's eye for this, so I would be trying to explain it to like Sebastian and be like, this is how I want it to be laid out for the end of that film, because that was really the heart of the whole piece for me. And so again, down to the wire, it was like the day of the filming, where we're gonna be screening it, and I had to work the first little section of the day. So normally on days like that, I would work for like 8 to 12 and then come home and be done. But I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like maybe like only work until 11 just to make sure that, you know, because we're running all this off of like a laptop, so to
yeah.
export something, it would take an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So we'd export it, watch it, and only have time to do one edit, right? So I'm like, you know what, I'll give us an extra hour and I'll be done at 11. So I like got home, And we're about to have lunch, and Sebastian's like, okay, I got it all together, you know, let's watch it. I'm like, okay, this is great, watching it, it's like awesome. And then we're coming up to the end, and the ending just starts, and I'm like, okay, where's the rest of it?
Or it just ends.
Where's the rest of it? Where's the voiceover? Where's this? Well, like, where's the rest of it? Where's the meat? Where's the heart? Where's all the parts that, like, you know, we need to have in here? And I'm starting to panic, and he's just like, okay, let me know what I have to put in, and just like tell me exactly what I have to put in, and he just buckles down and gets to work, right? Because I'm like, you know, we're showing this in like 5 hours, and it has to be like how I envision it, because otherwise it just is not it.
I have anxiety for you right now, and it's like already happened.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, here, and we get it all tied up, and it was like watching it live the first time was so intense, and luckily we were able to have some of our artists seeing it live. Our first screening was at Casa.
Yeah.
So it was like a dark theater style room, and it was like loud, and it was big, and it was like, it's like that film, I feel like the end part kind of comes out of nowhere and just kind of like hits you in the back of the head, and you're like, what's going on, you know? And like,
you get all of this cinematic, you know, public art flying around, and then it, you know, segues into this very, like, thick ending.
Yeah, it kind of does. Like, takeaways from me from that movie were I've seen most of those pieces before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I totally forgot all about them, right? Because I drive by them 100 times a day, so whatever. Second, the stuff in, I call it the alley art, which is so underrated and unseen, because who goes down the alleys? But it's there, and it's impressive. I love the space people. I see them all the time. Like, there's just some really good ones. And also, with Shakespeare, we're rehearsing at the Gate Church lots, and they've got the native chiefs on the side there, and that's very cool too. So it's neat that others, well, you're making us see it, which is great.
And we get that feedback as well. You know, after seeing the screening, we've had people approach us and say, you know, I've seen them just like you have, but I'm seeing them differently, and now I've got an eye for it. I want to see more. Yeah,
I want to go find those pieces I haven't seen.
I absolutely was like, see the chairs there? That's on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, I've absolutely, like, I absolutely took all of that and was like, look what I learned, right? And weirdly, something came up online where Sweden has the same, I can't remember, probably like the capital, has the same solar system set up.
Oh, cool.
But like, they actually have the physical representation sizes as well, so they have like a thing big enough to be their sun, and then like 4 blocks away there's a Mercury, and then right, but you end up like 28 kilometers away to hit Neptune, kind of thing.
Just like sunk. Like, I know about the billboard, but when I was thinking like, okay, let's incorporate that, so I went back to that board and looked at it and was like, yeah, okay, you know, how cool would it be to get every single one and maybe just do like a quick scene, right? And so I was at the university. I think it's Jupiter is at the university.
No, yeah, I think so, yeah.
And I couldn't find it. And I was like, as soon as I couldn't find it, I was like, oh no, you know, if I can't find this one.
Like, insert picture of Jupiter here.
Just see it drift around Park Lake.
Park Lake, yes, I know.
Just do it. Just do a selfie of that one. My head's big enough to qualify.
The plan is to incorporate all of them, but for our first screening especially, it was like, well, actually it was our second screening. Second screening was like, okay, here's the billboard, here's the sun, because it's literally across the street. You know, we'll get to the rest.
That's fun. And so then, first, we're about halfway through, you guys. I know it might come as a surprise to you guys. It's actually moving along. So just a reminder, this is JessFM, and a show called How Did You Get There? And I'm with StrudleBrand, and it's awesome. These guys, they're my kind of people. They love my community. They love art. Put these things together. So they were right to that question: why Lethbridge? Why Lethbridge? Here you are. You claim you're not from here.
Oh yeah.
Or you're returning to here from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Why would you pick Lethbridge? Is there something about the community, the pace of life, the art that you were able to find so everywhere? Are those the things that bring you to Lethbridge? To engage and then choose this as the base?
Well, originally I moved here for school back in, I want to say 2006, 2005. The years kind of get murky after a while.
Yeah, I hear that.
It was originally for school, and then after I was, done my school obviously I'm not gonna live in Lethbridge forever. Like, it's very cold here. I'm not compatible with freezing temperatures. I just hibernate. I go into crustacean mode, and I don't, like, how am I supposed to cope, right? Like, I'm from Vancouver, so I'm not gonna be just living in small town Lethbridge, right? So I moved back home, and then I moved back to Lethbridge, and then there was kind of a little bit of back and forth for a while. And when I moved back, I realized that, like, there's a lot of traffic. Like, there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of everything, and somewhere along the line I became like a small Lethbridge girl, I guess. Small Lethbridge pastry, actually. We got to stay on brand.
Yeah.
And then Sebastian was from Calgary, and when we met, I was like, I can't live in Calgary. I'm gonna die on Deerfoot.
I was actually in Okotoks at the time.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Working in Okotoks.
And I'm like, I just can't. Like, I'm just Lethbridge. Something about Lethbridge, it just, was cute. And so he was like, luckily for me, I didn't know this at the time, but he said, I actually went to Lethbridge for the first time when I was like in elementary school, and I had that feeling like, oh, I could see myself living here.
Yeah,
So,
I was always drawn to the viaduct and Lethbridge. I didn't know much about it, but every time that I was here, it was like very cool, and so I had no issue packing up and moving here.
I guess he had a little bit of a motivation
Yeah, I had a
too,
lot of
right?
motivation.
Little extra.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just like awesome. Like, you guys basically found each other with such different talents that align so well,
Yeah.
right? Right? Like, I mean, you've right away said, don't ask me questions about cameras and stuff. 'Cause,
Yeah. So like,
right,
we
right.
push our button, and sometimes there's a flash, and
Right.
sometimes there's not.
So you were talking about, like, from a production standpoint, and having produced a play, I wonder if your process is like mine. So I'm producing a thing, so now I'm responsible for every piece of that thing.
Yeah.
There's parts of it I don't want to do, like I don't want to be the cameraman. I need a cameraman.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the voiceovers. I'll need someone to do voiceovers, right?
Yeah.
So as the producer, I'm all of the parts until I give those parts away.
Yeah.
How much of that are you willing to give away?
Well, right now.
Or you'd love to give lots away and it's just not affordable, right?
Well, I mean, honestly, we kind of, like, I make the joke, we wear a lot of hats, but we do. Like, lots of people, which is funny to me,
Yes.
will say to us,
Yeah.
like, when they meet us, and we're like, okay, so where's the rest of your team?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
We do. We get it a
it's
lot.
us.
We
It's
were
literally
thought
just
we were
us.
a 12-person team. We thought we were a 17-person team.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
sometimes people
no.
won't even believe us when we say it's just us. They're like, no, it can't just be us. Like,
Yeah.
who else does it? It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's literally just all us. It's like,
Yeah.
and I joke, I'm like, me and all the employees inside my head.
Yeah. As long as you pay them all equally, that's fair.
Yeah, nothing, no.
But yeah, that's right. The same meal. They all get the same meal. That's fun.
I do have favorites, though, I'll say.
Yeah. I prefer this part of my
Yeah.
job more than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sebastian does all the like the filming, the video, the drone stuff, the photography. I'm kind of like the backup shooter. Like, I can do that, but he is.
You're the B-roll.
I'm the B-roll, yeah.
Oh, the B-roll. B-roll makes it.
I'll need a bunch of B-roll for the end of this part. Yeah, for sure.
B-roll, yeah, it does.
Look at me, no jargon.
Oh yeah, B-roll. Yeah, everyone knows what that is.
No,
right?
they really don't.
They
No,
really don't.
No,
I know.
John Q. Public, that's so weird. They should know. It happens everywhere. It's what they see in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
B-roll is the footage that's kind of like behind the scenes, not the main footage. So, for
Helps tie
instance,
everything together.
if we're gonna have B-roll of this, you might have B-roll of like panning the table or of my hands because I'm a hand talker, that
Mhm.
sort of stuff. Or maybe our feet if we're all wearing shoes that are appropriate for being on TV, which I think that we are not.
I got hideous feet. Don't need to see that. I got feet like everybody else. Everybody has hideous feet. No, I'm not that way. That's very cool. How do we sculpt this question? I can feel it up there. So going forward, right?
Mhm.
That ideally you probably always want to give little bits away to help
yeah.
out other people. But the very stock 5 years from now, how many more movies do you think you'll have, right? Like, that's kind of in the back of your minds. You're like, if we could do one a year, if we could do two a year, and already like within half a year you're at two.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like a pace you guys think you could manage. We don't get younger
With
Yeah.
sponsorship.
with
Yeah, with
sponsorship.
sponsorship.
You could do tons if you got sponsorship.
Well, we do
I
have-
mean, sponsorship involves what? Advertising with you, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, us doing partnerships, so like we'll do some promo for them, we'll make them a film, but kind of like, I don't want to say commercial because that's like not the word I like to use, but essentially like a mini commercial. Like we
Mhm.
can do a lot of, like, we're kind of split between things that we do for other people in terms of, like, you know, charity work, not-for-profit, stuff like that, and then we have, like, paid, you know, work stuff that where we do that, and then we have our StrudleBrand kind of hobby stuff that we do, like the resurfaced video, and we're going to be expanding that into, ideally, with sponsorships, no kidding.
No,
But with
don't be
sponsorships,
scared.
obviously.
Don't be scared.
We want to expand that into kind of like a series, so we're thinking like an 8-part series where we kind of go to all different places around Lethbridge and kind of think about public art in a bigger way, you know, so not just like the stuff that's sanctioned and out there, but like how, for instance, like if we have all these new developments coming out, you know, like all you know, the Copperwoods and the Black Wolves and all those where you're getting these like, you know, kind of like residential areas that are just kind of popping out of nowhere, and like what does public art look like in those contexts? You know, like do these builders have any concept of, we want to make something that's makes us a nice place to live as opposed to just packing in as many houses as possible? And I mean that beyond just, here's a plaque that says Black Wolf and it has a wolf pose there, you know, like something that's like, sure, it's branded, I guess, but it might not necessarily be that engaging. Like, what about adding something that just has, like, as we say, you know, no value, no, you know, paid on value, but something that just adds to your lived experience, right? When you see it and you can engage and feel something for it.
The feeling of it, right? To get the reaction, to get that,
anything that you notice, because that was another thing that we found really weird when we were doing this film, is we would ask people, what's your favorite piece of public art in Lethbridge? And we'd have some people that would say, you know, this piece or this piece, but we would get a lot of people that were like, I don't know. And it wasn't,
I don't know any pieces.
It's not that they didn't know which was their favorite, they just didn't realize there was such a,
They'd be like, I don't notice. And like, and then we had all these little playoffs that we were eventually gonna make, where we're thinking, like, what if we did a film of just everyone saying, I don't see any art in Lethbridge, I don't notice any art, and just shot after shot after shot of all these little clips, right?
That would be episode 3, episode 4 maybe, where
Well,
you're like, just call it the awakenings, right? Where people are like, I didn't know there was, boom, how about this one? How about they take them around, right?
But that's the thing too, that's why when we named it, it was kind of like again, universe opening up to give me the gift of the title, Resurface Part 1. Because it is going to be a work in progress. There is always more art to discover, more angles to look at it. I didn't want to say resurface, done.
Not like originally like Star Wars: A New Hope episode 4, right? Where you just threw a number on there and
It's like
you're like, I
part
actually
1.
have a plan that there will be more parts. That's cool. That's cool.
So there's that little blink of inspiration on that part too, which worked out.
It's funny when you guys were saying about there's just the 2 of us. When I was trying to set this all up, I was like, you and Sebastian, and then I was like, do they have more? Like maybe? I was like, they might have one more. I don't want to exclude anyone, right? So I was like pretty careful about that, but I actually felt like it was just maybe because of the movie experience, and I watched how you two just zoom and do all of it. So I just assumed there was just the 2 of you, but I'm probably the exception, it turns out. I'm the weirdo. I'm the weirdo.
Well, you kind of met us you know, as like from behind the scenes, witnessing. Oh, that's
true.
StrudleBrand.
That's true. I mean,
most people just see the, you know, and on Twitter, I'm kind of a little bit more of like a person on there. My other accounts are more kind of polished, but that's kind of like I think everyone's a little weird on Twitter, right?
So that's. I want to go there for sure.
Like,
so
I
people
see
say like,
I see all your questions,
but
and
I'm
you're
always,
poking the
but
bear
I'm
in
always,
there.
but I am that way. I am that way all the time. It's just that Twitter gives me a group of people I wouldn't engage with normally. So I have those questions for people anyway. But now someone that's actually
you can actually ask them.
Hey, look, I do.
And possibly get a response or just get blocked.
Yeah, I think I've only been blocked once, and that guy unblocked me.
Oh,
Because it was just a misunderstanding. He called me out on a tu quoque fallacy or whatever, and I didn't disambiguate well. So I got back in touch with him through somebody else, and he's like, "Oh, cool."
Okay, I'll unblock you.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like my questions are pointy, and I believe I call it, you know, asking the hard questions as nicely as possible, right?
Sweet.
Because you got it. Like, how else do I learn if I don't ask questions?
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot. Like, I'll never know everything, but I want to.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of the time
It's a good
too,
mindset
just
to have.
asking those questions gets people to reflect, because a lot of time you come to assumptions and you have beliefs that you don't even really question yourself, and and you don't even really realize why you're thinking that. But when someone is asking you to articulate that, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense to me.
Right?
You know,
Like,
and
so
then-
like the question that you were dreading early, why are you doing this?
I think it's just because we can't not do this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See?
It started out like,
What, like you sitting there and you're like, what else would I be doing?
yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah.
we were just like, I want to say working for the man before, you know, and it was
Yeah.
not fulfilling. It was like soul sucking, and this is like soul feeding,
Yeah.
what we're doing, you know,
Totally.
just giving back, like, you know, and I say we joke that we work all the time. Like our unwind time, we'll go for walks around the neighborhood and admire the gardens and, you know, the houses. So we live in such a beautiful area here in like southern Alberta.
Are you also in like the London Road neighborhood?
Oh yeah,
Very
yeah,
good.
Upper
Very
East.
good.
Upper East Side.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
East
all-
Side.
So the Salvation Army sticker was closed.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on 6A. I'm just south of London Road Market. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in the hood.
It's a gorgeous area, and we walk
It is beautiful.
around all the time and just talk work.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And
it's
it's
not
okay.
work,
Yeah.
but it's just brainstorming and like, how can we make Lethbridge better? Because
Yeah.
that's
What's
really
the next big
what
thing?
we
Yeah.
want to do. How can we, you know, do something that people aren't doing right now or
Mhm.
haven't
Mhm.
done here before?
And it's evident that like Lethbridge wants it, and Lethbridge needs it, and Lethbridge deserves it. So we can't.
And it's like an
Not-
art experiment. That's why
Yeah,
we
it's
call it
totally
an art
art
experiment,
experiment, yeah.
because we just kind of throw things out there and see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like, okay, well, we're dependent on this to exist, you know? So
Mm.
it's like, we'll just make a film, and if no one shows up, and so the first time we did a screening, I was like, you know, what if no one shows up? Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
if, right? You know?
The high school party syndrome. I've planned it. I've booked the party.
What if
Yeah.
no one shows up, right? And, you know, some people were having a little bit of like anxieties about that with like, you know, well, what if you put something together and no one shows up? Doesn't it make you look bad? But I've always thought of it as kind of like, I mean, maybe it's the poet in me, it probably is, but just like the concept of making something intense and showing it and there's no one to see it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's
sick.
just so powerful.
Yeah,
It's a
it's so
different
powerful.
situation
Yeah, like
for
there's
sure.
this amazing thing that's happening in a room of maybe one person,
Yeah.
two people to see
Oh,
it, you
could
know?
you imagine
It's
if
like,
you were solo watching that?
Yeah.
That would be so
Yeah.
scary.
It would be weird. It would be. It would
be, like, overwhelming,
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what it would be. Because you're like, is this all just for me?
Yeah.
What? Why doesn't anyone else
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
know those kinds of
Yeah.
feelings? For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
The just by yourself.
Yeah, and we also have like a motto, I guess, thing that we kind of go by too, which can sometimes sound a little bit bad, but we say first, worst.
Yeah.
So the first time you do something, you're always going to do it the worst you've ever done. So, and you know, people are like, oh, that's so pessimistic, but it's actually really optimistic because, you know, you think of how good it turns out the first time, that's the worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you just tweak things, you know, learn things, every time you do it, it's going to be slightly better in some way. So
Are you ever scared to overproduce something? Or are
In
your
what
timelines are your timelines so tight that you're just
our
like,
timelines are-
we get this stuff done and this
Yeah.
is good, and then we just the next notch and out it goes, right? Or do you think if you had like so much time with the first piece and you start tweaking and then you change this little bit?
That's funny. We do talk about that. You know, we've never really created something that's just like no timeline. If we didn't have a budget and we had all the time in the world to produce it, we don't even know. We don't even know what.
It
that
would be a
look
nice
like.
thing to find out.
Yeah, it would be. Cool.
Yeah.
A nice problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, right.
The best problem is too much time. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like I would
I
love
just-
to have the opportunity to be very nitpicky and
Yeah.
like, oh, but maybe cut a little frame off here. Like, I mean, we're always striving to make something that's better than what we've produced before. So.
But I hear you because I mean, like if I'm editing a photo, you know, and I'm going for a certain look, it's true. Like you kind of lose the vision and you start to over edit, you know, and you're focusing so much time on this one photo, and it's great, but then you're like overdoing it.
And now you've taken it out of the context of the total
lose
piece.
it. Totally lose
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's definitely Sebastian, and he'll bring it over to me and be like, which one do you like more, this one or this one? I'm like, okay, it's like one of those eye tests. Like, which one? I'm like,
Yeah.
they're the same.
Yeah.
Like, what? And
I'm like
he's
they're not the same.
yeah, this one is cropped a little bit different, and then it's like, okay, no. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So sometimes
okay,
I'm
I
not.
really like this one. It's like, well, why do you like that one? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Because I spent way longer on this one.
Yeah, why would you pick the easy one? Yeah. Well, I mean, so that was not a bad question for sure. That is a concern, but just it never really, like that's where I'm trying to get to, is maybe get you guys to articulate some situations you've thought about only, but haven't really had the chance to, get into. Sponsorship's clearly an issue.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
really an issue. It's just, it would just be an advantage.
It would be
I
nice.
get it.
We're gonna be doing some door knocking in the next couple of weeks and be like, "Hi,
Yeah.
remember us?" Because we have had some people that have reached out and said like, "Hey, like we like what you're doing. Let us know how we can get involved and help." And so we're gonna be putting together a sponsorship package where we can say like, "Hey, this is actually what we're offering, and this is what
Cool.
because yeah."
Is there any other businesses in and around you'd want to give a shout out to specifically, like the artists from your film? You'd be like, these are the names I want to drop, or like, because they really helped you out with that film, right? Like you could be like, yeah, Bob was amazing, and if it wasn't for Bob, wouldn't have it. So I mean, this is your chance to throw them some extra credit, extra love if they need it. You'd just be like, no, just come see the film, read their names.
Yeah, it's like we'll
Listen,
buy
watch,
their art.
watch the.
Credits.
I was gonna say the after credit scene.
Yeah.
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 Right?
The interview afterwards was great.
It was, and then as a bonus for me, he was there.
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
I know.
there.
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah, so
hey,
you
that
guys
was
kind
you.
of fanboy over that, like, yeah, you're the
So
artist.
I did that with
Yeah.
these guys too. I warned them I would a little. These are the movie making people. They made the cool movie that inspired me.
Pastries, hello.
Sorry, yes. These.
Gotta stay on brand. Just because I'm in my human form today does not mean that I'm not
That's
just like a giant
true.
cupcake.
You are a
Artist.
you are a transcended cupcake
Yeah.
at this time.
Yeah, and he's just a drone, I guess.
A drone.
Not in a negative connotation.
No,
though.
as a floaty observant thing.
A floaty
Yeah.
observant thing. Yeah,
He's a
that's your
drone that
official
way.
title now.
Good
Floaty
job.
observant thing. It
New
works.
new T-shirt.
Yeah. Just a floaty observant thing. Well, we're gonna be selling merch, so
That's
gonna be a thing.
right.
Yeah.
You guys run contests, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
although some of us don't have Instagram, so don't always participate in the contests.
Yeah, we try to make it like we say we're a collaborative thing. So we're interactive art experiments. So our last thing that we did, we said, name our drone, because we have a drone that we don't really have a name for. We just say like, grab the drone, you have the drone, get the drone with my head, it's gonna hit me, I'm
Oh,
bleeding,
yes.
etc. Right? Like, no, not that, but
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah.
it doesn't really have a name, and I'm like a little disappointed that my name for it, the like bloodthirsty sky beast, was
Mhm.
not picked. I
Chosen.
guess.
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
people thought
It's a
it
little
was too
wordy.
much.
It's a little
Yeah,
wordy.
I don't know. It rolls off the tongue so nice.
It does, yeah. Just the poet in you is screaming.
Exactly right. But
Bloodthirsty. Yeah.
we had a poll going, and so people were kind of voting on it. Well, people were able to submit their suggestions, and then the top 4 we made into a kind of pick your favorite, or top 3 or whatever it was, and we ended up having most people voting for the title of Art Bee.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of
That's
like an
pretty
art
cool.
bee. A bee that
I like it.
art,
Yeah, as opposed to like spelling bee.
Yeah, yeah. The other kind of bee.
although it is kind of
It's like a
creating.
giant
It's like
bee,
creating
yeah.
the art, though, in a
Yeah.
way, right? It is your paintbrush, really.
Yeah,
Right.
I do enjoy filming quite a lot with that. It gives definitely a very nice, different look, a different perspective.
We always like to push it too, because a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of drone, like traditional drone flight, is like very high up, and we like to call it. I mean, don't say I like to call it, but we tend to call it like surveillance footage drone.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Where it's just kind of like,
No, but the flight down the tunnel,
Yeah.
yeah,
right? Like
Yeah.
a shot like that, which is,
Yeah.
otherwise it's this move with
Oh,
a
yeah.
shaky cam,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like we don't want Cloverfield.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
It's not for this one.
I mean, I understand and appreciate what the dude was going for, but we
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yes.
We don't want that.
Oh, yes, I went to that and I was heavily disappointed.
Well, I mean,
it was like, oh, I can't.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, the
for what it
nausea
is.
feeling,
Yeah, the
right?
nausea
Yeah,
feeling,
we're trying
yes.
not to.
But it was.
I mean, we want to make you feel kind of something when you're seeing our.
Yeah,
film.
but
And
you don't
even
want
that pit in
motion
the stomach
sickness.
where
yes.
you're like, is the drone gonna make it? Oh, the drone did.
Yeah.
Are you gonna hit the train? Because I sometimes have that when I've seen the
Yeah.
footage. I'm like, okay, before I finish watching this, is the drone okay? Do we have to go get another
we
drone?
we have spare arms and
You got
plenty
spare
of-
bits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plenty
it's kind of
propellers.
insured, is
Oh,
it?
yeah. Yeah.
It seems like a high-end piece of
Yeah.
equipment that was like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll buy this.
Yeah.
Well,
It
and
was
new
definitely-
computer now, right? So
Yeah,
you guys aren't
that's
crammed
right.
on laptops, and
Yeah,
your
we
exporting
have-
could be down to what, half an hour now? Maybe?
Oh, it's incredible. It really is incredible. I put it. I don't want to say through its paces just the other day, but I was doing some photo editing, just running it through its final software, and exporting on my little laptop is like anywhere between 30 to 50 minutes. And
So really what's slowing you down now is just the interfaces and not the computer, right?
Yeah. It's it was definitely it was a big purchase for StrudleBrand, but it was extremely necessary, and like we're good.
Well, like I was thinking about that right away. I was like, well, that's an hour out of everything you do, right? Like that is so much time saved. So much time saved. And not that I'm a time is money. Like I always, it's weird. You contract me for whatever I agree to. If you want to tie up my free time, think about me as $100 an hour, right? So if I want to give away $100 an hour, take it, right? But if I work for whatever 20, 25 bucks an hour, that's my choice, right?
And kind of to go back with the universe thing, like again, StrudleBrand was in need of a laptop, and we just totally ran into a stranger, and we got talking, and he's like, "Oh, I build computers," and so this stranger built our computer.
No way.
And so he's like sent us a list of all the things to buy. We like bought them and like brought them to his house, and had like a minute where we were like, maybe like literally bring like $4,000 of computer parts to a random person's house and be like, hey, make us a computer is like a little too trusting, a little too optimistic, because you know, what if this guy just, right?
But you got his address already, so.
But like it was kind of one of those things where it just everything lined up, because otherwise we were just gonna impulse buy some random computer and be like, hope this is good enough, and we were kind of in the wrong direction, and we got one custom made that is beyond the like capability of like what we need it for right now, which is good because we can grow into it.
Like kids' clothes.
Exactly.
You get it a size bigger, and then.
But we did that with our first laptops. Like, you know, he started on like what is it, Surface Pro?
Surface Pro.
So a lot of our films are made on that. You know, so the fact that it's like like a tablet essentially.
Well, that's amazing. My brain shuts down. That's like the quality of what comes out from this.
But I feel like that's like one of the really cool things about StrudleBrand is that we've been operating on such like kind of a grassroots, ground up thing, and we've been able to produce a lot from our limited means. So like again, if you have sponsors,
it's not relying on our equipment to create, you know, what our vision is. Like we are the creators, and we are surpassing our equipment. So we're buying new equipment to keep up with us instead of relying on the equipment to create.
I mean, to carry an analogy, right? Like, just because basically the bristles have come off the old paintbrush doesn't mean you're any less of a painter, any less creative. You just need new paintbrush, right?
Or you just use the other end and make something completely
Take out the almighty knife. And a little bush in the corner. For sure. I know the hair's a little going for that, but I absolutely do have a Bob Ross stuff in the back of my car right now.
Everyone needs at least one.
Well, that was Whoop Up Days last year. I think I won that at Whoop Up Days.
Oh,
even better.
Yeah, that's why I go to Whoop Up Days, is to throw my money at the weird carnival games. The rides freak me out. I mean, you know what though? Look, you guys. I mean, that clock's a little fast, but we managed to squeak out a whole hour. We got words out of everybody. We almost established comfort level within an hour. That's pretty good, you guys.
And I didn't even have to choose between a croissant and a.
I wasn't gonna push. We just all pastries are appreciated.
All pastries are appreciated.
Right, especially when ethically sourced. There we are.
Gluten-free and vegan.
Well, I mean, I'm very much an anti-feedlot kind of guy myself. Like, why? If we're concerned about disease, why wouldn't we just like stop making places that make disease? Weird. It's a weird thing. So the last minute or so is up to you guys if you want. If you have any kind of please come out on the 19th kind of thing you want to say to the camera, there it is. You got like a minute.
Well, we do have Talking Lethbridge, and it is August 19th, and it will be in Festival Square, so stay tuned and keep your eyes open for all the little things we're going to trickle out on that, because we have a lot of surprises in store for that. And we're also going to have merch on the way at some point in the nearest future, so if you are maybe not wanting to like actually buy a video from us or a film, you can sponsor us by buying some of our merch and being part of the StrudleBrand crew, and then people can come up to you and be like, what is StrudleBrand? Which is
it's a very common question these days.
You can even say, hey, I'm StrudleBrand, because no one's gonna know.
Right? It's me. I am.
Yeah, we can all be StrudleBrand.
And how do people find you then? If they want to buy your movies, if they want to buy your merch, other than just showing up at this one event, they can get you at
StrudleBrand.com, and we are at StrudleBrand StrudleBrand everywhere. So YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
anywhere where you can find us. StrudleBrand, one word, easy. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. You got any last little?
Sponsor us.
Yeah, no doubt, no
Did we
doubt,
underline
you guys.
that
Yeah.
enough?
No, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Because I think sponsoring community-minded people and art is important. So
Yeah.
sponsor them.
Let
sponsor
us do
them.
what we do. Yeah.
You betcha, you betcha. So finally, we're just gonna wave our way out, and we'll say thanks, Jess. Thanks for having us here, buddy. And yeah.